What's up, guys? Ricky here. Do you love Most Valuable Podcasts? And are you like myself where things that you like, you just have to let people know because they've got to be on your t-shirt at all times? If you do, you're in luck because we got Most Valuable Podcast t-shirts. You've probably seen myself, Dave, Mark, Sean, Brandon. You might have seen us wearing these t-shirts in videos. The good thing is now you can get your hands on one too. How do you do so? First off, send us an email, mostvaluablepodcast@gmail.com. Give us your name, your size, your address. We will then send you an invoice through Square. That's how you'll pay for it, $22 per shirt. And then after we get the money, we will send you a great Most Valuable Podcast t-shirt for you to wear so you can tell everybody that you love listening to Most Valuable Podcasts. So go check it out. The directions are also in the description. What are you waiting for? We got the shirts just for you. But Mark, let's move on into our final topic. And who are we taking a look at?
The Bears.
The Bears. I know it's Bulls, but I like doing that for the super fans out there. We're talking about the Bears and who they should take at the 8th overall pick. So, Mark, we've done our mock drafts. I believe we've done 3 of them, if my math is correctly. On the last mock draft, you and I had Denzel Ward, you had to the Bears.
Right.
I had Calvin Ridley to the Bears. I'll ask you this. Who should the Bears take at number 8? Is it still Denzel Ward, or have you changed your mind?
Well, it's really, I mean, it's hard to say because it depends on a lot of things. I mean,
As of right now.
What happened right now was that the Bears released Pernell McPhee and Quentin Demps. So this is important because this is a pass rush, and this was the big one for Ryan Pace. This was his first big signing, and then the safety Quentin Demps, who was okay. He was okay. No one expected that much out of him, but. So I look at those two and I'm like, well, Tremaine Edmonds sure does look a lot more interesting now for the Chicago Bears. Somebody who in my last draft was still available when the Bears were up at number 8. I had to go with Denzel Ward partially because Minkah Fitzpatrick just left when the Bucs drafted him at number 7. Obviously, Minkah Fitzpatrick, I think, is still my number 1. Well, dream scenario, you get Bradley Chubb, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, he ain't falling to 8.
Yeah, but it needs to be said that dream scenario because someone's going to say, what about Chubb? Minkah Fitzpatrick is my number 1 guy I would want.
Is Chubb more of a dream scenario than Minkah Fitzpatrick?
For me, yeah.
Why so?
Chubb's a fucking monster.
I get that he's a monster, but like for me, if I'm the Bears, wouldn't you want a stud cornerback over the pass rush with what your team already has?
I mean, the pass rush is great, but I'll take more when I'm going to go against potentially Kirk Cousins, when I got to go against Matthew Stafford and Aaron Rodgers.
I like how you're already saying Kirk Cousins and the deal.
Where else is he going to go? Where else is he going to go?
Could go to Denver, Mark.
He totally could, but they got to cut some people first.
They also have to re-sign their wide receivers, as Brandon keeps reminding me that they could lose both Sanders and Thomas this offseason.
Which, get younger, so why not? But, I mean, the reason why I go for that is honestly because I look at free agency and I say, there are some good corners out there. I got some people I can be happy with. And I hate to say it because I don't believe in Kyle Fuller, but he did look good last season. Now, I personally think that he's going to fall back to being crappy, but he did look good last season. So that's why I would rather take Chubb. Plus, I think Chubb is quite potentially going to be the best player in the draft. Minkah Fitzpatrick, I would love, though, as well. Anyways.
Here's a question I've got for you.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to look last year because when these guys get to the NFL, teams do whatever they want with them. So right now, he's one of your inside linebackers, but also I'm not sure if the defense will stay the same because Fangio came back for you guys.
Yeah.
Here's the question I'm going to throw out to you as the Bear fan. You can help me answer this. You've got a guy in Nick Kwiatkowski. I hope I said that right. I probably didn't.
Oh, no, that's not it. But
Kwiatkowski from West Virginia.
I might still even be wrong, but I had to think about it.
So here's what it is. You've got him and you've got Danny Trevathan as your inside linebackers right now.
Yeah.
Could you see a situation where let's say Edmonds is off the board, let's say Minka's off the board. Like, I'm looking at my mock draft, how it plays out. With the defensive things that you just did today and the releases you had, could you see the Bears maybe going, hey, you know what? Denzel Ward is there, but we just re-signed Kyle Fuller. They didn't, but in the situation, let's just go along with it for the sake of argument because he's still technically on the team.
Yeah, and it's assumed that they probably will.
What if they pass on Denzel Ward to say, you know what? We're going to move Nick to the outside, and we're going to go with a guy from Georgia in Roquan Smith and have Trevathan and Smith be our inside linebackers.
I think that there's a good chance that that's the scenario, which is possible. If that's the scenario.
I really like Roquan Smith, and if you couldn't, because the thing I was looking with, I'm just going to call him Nick, is, yeah, he's an inside linebacker right now.
Call him Quick Nick.
Quick Nick. There were so many, like, draft you always had, like I said for Tremaine Edmonds. Some people have him inside, some have him outside. Same thing with Quick Nick is some have him outside, some have him inside. If you could move him back to the outside, I would say, hell, go with a Roquan Smith, a guy you can get to the ball, get to the quarterback,
He's
and
one
be
of
a
those
leader.
guys who always impresses and one of those guys who always steps up, but he still is not starting material.
Yet. He could, I think he'll develop into...
Kwiatkowski, I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about Roquan.
No. He's starting material.
Which I was like, maybe as a rookie, like, but like he's going to be a starter in the NFL.
So that's the thing. Moving him out to the outside, I just sit there and I think, well, there's still a need there for sure. Now, and I want to put it out there because some people are going to say it too. Denzel Ward at 8. I don't think it's a reach, but some people are saying that it is a reach.
I could see how it is. I could see how it is.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how he could certainly fall further into the lower teens. But, I mean, it's certainly a need for the Bears there. I think Minkah Fitzpatrick, if you can't get him, Tremaine Edmonds, that's the way to go.
What if both of them are off the board, though?
Both of them are off the board. Denzel, so basically it comes to Denzel Ward and Roquan Smith. If we're living in the world where Kyle Fuller gets re-signed, I would probably go Roquan Smith.
Okay.
To knowing in my head that we're probably also going to lose one of these inside linebackers pretty soon, or at least just need an upgrade. The Chicago Bears are going to certainly need another upgrade for the inside linebacker position, but it's not one of the highest needs.
Here's another thing I think of, and this goes back to the original pick I made for the Bears when we did our 3.0, is I know people have said, and there are people out there that are like, I have questions about Calvin Ridley, how he's going to be, like, is he the true number one for this class? Can you get a better wide receiver later in the draft? I have a feeling, depending, and this is how free agency goes too, because, like, if the Bears are able to steal Sammy Watkins, steal an Allen Robinson type of character away from these other teams, maybe even a Marquise Lee, even though I would take Allen Robinson before I would take Marquise Lee, even with the injury questions, even if they get maybe a Jordan Matthews, if he doesn't go back to the Buffalo Bills. If they don't get anyone in free agency from the wide receiver core, part of me looks at, like, because we've been talking defense because of what they just did today, but I look at Kendall Wright's a free agent, Kevin White's been injured, Marcus Wheaton is there, you've got Bellamy, who's also a free agent, you'll probably bring him back, Dontrell Inman, I don't know if another team will scoop him up, or if you guys will bring him back. Even if you guys do, part of me feels like, yeah, all these defensive players are nice, but if both Edmonds and Fitzpatrick, because that's the clear 1-2 in no particular order of how I said it, if both of them are off the board, yeah, we're like, oh, what about Ward or Smith? I think there's a huge kind of pressure then to say, you know, we need to get someone for Mitch to throw to if we want to score points.
Yeah, for
which
sure.
Which could be why Calvin Ridley just becomes the pick for the Bears at 8.
I mean, the Bears, the Bears are not as far away as their record last year might make them seem. But at the same time, the Bears got a lot to do. Yeah.
That was Mitch's first game. It was the last interception that sold it for the Vikings.
Oh, for sure. And the thing for the Chicago Bears, too, is that you look at this team and, they were not a good passing team throughout, but we can talk about John Fox if we really want to.
He's not there no more.
They didn't score very many points. Like I said, we can talk about John Fox all we want. But this defense was really good. This is one of the better defenses in the NFL. It was a top 10 defense last year. For a while, the Chicago Bears were a top 5 defense. But there are still a lot of holes. There's still some help that can be done on the offensive line. You need what I'm just going to say throwing options, receiving options because of something I'll say in a little bit. Running back, you're set. Quarterback, you're assuming that you're set. Defense, there's a lot that are good, but defensive backs, pass rush, you need to adjust some pieces. Things are going to happen in free agency. But the thing that Bears fans are going to remember, again, is that Ryan Pace is not a big splash kind of guy. He's I'm going to let the first day pass, and then I'm going to go after those guys that are cheaper.
Would you say last year, though, was a big splash? Them trading up the pick to grab Trubisky?
I'm talking about free agency.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the draft for some reason.
No. In the free agency, Ryan Pace is very much I'm going to sit back and wait. Then all of you have kind of played your cards right off the bat, and I'm going to come in and do some things.
So you're saying like a Sammy Watkins, even if he's out there, probably won't be a Bear because the Bears will probably sit back that first day.
Exactly. The Bears are not going to go after that top
Allen
name
Robinson,
kind of guy.
that even Marquise Lee, I would say, not going to.
I would think Marquise Lee might be a kind of guy they would go after because he is more of that second tier.
But are the Jaguars going to jump all over at day one to get their guys
I would
back?
think so. They probably would. And it's not necessarily a day one kind of thing. I'm more of just using the top tier guys. The Bears probably aren't going after many of the top tier guys. They're probably going to wait to spread the wealth around. And maybe part of that's just been that the Chicago Bears have been so talent depleted from the past couple of regimes that Ryan Pace hasn't been able to do what he really wants to do, which is throw a shit ton of money at the best guy. The thing I want to say really quickly, though, to get to the wide receivers, I don't expect the Bears to go wide receiver. Yet, last year they did something I didn't expect. I expect that this year, I don't expect them to go after a big name wide receiver. I could expect Calvin
Ridley.
No. Josh Bellamy, Kendall Wright. I could expect these guys to come back for sure. What I really think could happen, this is the only big splash I can see, Jimmy Graham. That's the only big splash I can see the Bears trying to do.
I've seen articles where it's like, what if they bring him in?
And the reason why I say that is because they like the bootlegs, they like play action.
Now
that works really well for a big wide receiving, receiving tight end.
But also think about this: you bring in Nagy. Who did Nagy have to work with in KC? Travis Kelce.
And they've already got Shaheen, so they got the guy who's supposed to be Baby Gronk. You get another tight end out there. And all of a sudden, you got two really top-quality tight ends, assuming that Shaheen can play up to a level, and you can get away with lesser wide receivers.
Here's the thing I think about, and I know that Ryan Pace ain't thinking about this, but interesting comparison here. The last time the Bears took a wide receiver with Ryan Pace in the top 10, you know it.
Yeah,
Kevin White. Almost the same pick. Kevin White went 7. This one would be 8. We're going to play a little game, Mark.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you a few questions. You tell me if you know the answer.
All right.
Kevin White was taken 7th.
If you're asking about who was picked, I don't know. I don't know these
The
things.
next player picked after him, this is the first defensive player after him, a pass rusher, Vic Beasley.
All right.
The first cornerback that was taken after him, number 11 to my Minnesota Vikings. Do you know who that is?
Was that
It's
that
not
Xavier
Rhodes.
Oh, I was just gonna say Xavier Rhodes.
It's not Rhodes. It's the other one, Trey Waynes.
Trey Waynes,
Michigan
There
State.
you go.
You want to know
You shouldn't ask me questions that involve names. I don't know
another
these guys.
cornerback, and this one was the third cornerback taken after Kevin White was drafted, number 18th overall. The Chiefs. We just talked about him today.
Oh, Marcus Peters.
Oh,
how I would love to have that.
I look at that and I find it funny to where, of course, Ryan Pace ain't gonna think about that, but I look at that and I go, do you really want to have that maybe? That circumstance, maybe that happenstance is what I'm looking for. That coincidence that's like, hey, man, last time you took a wide receiver in the top 7, 8, those defensive players that you passed on were pretty good. Like, Trey Wayne's pretty good.
But
Vic
Kevin,
Beasley,
to be
pretty
fair,
good.
Kevin White was supposed to be good. He just can't stay healthy.
Even the cornerback in between Waynes and Peters, Kevin Johnson, who went to the Houston Texans. He was from Wake Forest. But I mean, I look at it like even Danny Shelton was passed on. He was in between those picks. But that's the thing I look at is, do you want to take a splash on Calvin Ridley at 8? Because to me, I'm going to say splash on Calvin Ridley at 8 and have the question of, oh man, you know what? He didn't pan out like we wanted him to. We should have just taken a defensive player. We should, because could you imagine? I know looking back is 2020. Hindsight's always 2020. But could you imagine the Bears with a Vic Beasley, with a Trey Waynes,
They
with
wouldn't
a
have
Marcus
Trubisky
Peters?
today.
They wouldn't have Trubisky today. That might happen. They could have been further down in the draft because they might have won a few more games. But that's the thing I look at, especially with the Calvin Ridley thing, because of where they are in the draft. And do I personally think that Calvin Ridley is going to be a bust? No. I think he's going to be a number 1, number 2 for whatever team he gets drafted to. And I think that the Bears should consider him at number 8 because you need somebody.
Consider it.
You need a number 1 wide receiver or a number 1 pass catcher if you're going to get Jimmy Graham for Trubisky to throw to.
Yeah.
You need that. Like, how many times, even during the Panthers game, we were looking at it, like, and I would text the fantasy football group where it's like, hey, remember when Greg Olson was a
wonderful days.
was a Bear, and you're like, man, I remember them like it was yesterday.
And I mean, you know, the Bears just have had such an injury issue because they've had guys like Zach Miller.
Well, it's that grass
when he
late in the
looks
season,
great,
man.
Yeah, and he gets
Got to
hurt.
get that artificial
I
turf.
don't know because some of these injuries happen right off the bat.
True.
You know, when they had Kevin White and all his injuries, like the shots that the Bears take at somebody who can catch a ball. I'm going to call it the Johnny Knox curse here.
The Johnny Knox curse.
You know, it's just...
thinking about bringing Dane Sanzenbacher back. I forgot about that.
I would love Dane Sanzenbacher to come back.
Sanzenbacher.
For no reason other than I was so excited when the Bears got him initially, and I was like, hey...
So was Dave Oster.
Ohio State, you know, with Terrell Pryor. Those were some good old days.
Now I'm looking here, and Mel Kiper, the last mock draft to come out that wasn't us, Tremaine Edmonds, you'd be happy. But
I would.
Any final thoughts on the Bears? I think we've kind of touched everything when it's come to the draft. Any wild cards that you think could be thrown in there at number 8?
Yeah, actually, definitely. I think the wild card would essentially be the offensive line picks.
Nelson or like an Orlando Brown type player.
I mean, depending on who is there, for them to go and get an offensive line to say, hey, we've got a really good run game. And we got a young quarterback. Let's support that further. Because as much as people like to say that the Bears' offensive line has been good, and it has been,
could be a little better.
It can get better. It can be improved. And also, Sitton is not going to be back.
Well, Sitton's not going to be back. I mean, and the thing that you look at, it was before, like, oh, they need to add
also,
depth.
center is a big question mark for the Bears right now.
Yeah.
Because Whitehair was amazing. They drafted Grisou, and it didn't matter.
Don't they want to move Whitehair, though, over to one of the guard or tackle spots?
We'll see. You're going to have to wait and see what the new offensive line coach wants to do.
Because, I mean, with offensive line, it was, we need to add depth beside, like, Sitton and Long. But now, like you said, Sitton's not going to be there. Plus, it's like Bobby Massey.
Oh, yeah.
You got to look to replace him at right tackle at some time. Like, that's got to get going sooner rather than later. But any final thoughts before I kick it to them?
No, essentially, I mean, the Bears got a lot of needs. We're going to have to wait and see.
Any pick's a good pick, basically, unless it's quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, they're the kind of situation where, honestly, anything besides, like, quarterback and running back, you can make a case for why it should happen.
But if Saquon's there, you got to take him.
Can you imagine?
If Saquon was
Cohen,
there.
Howard, Saquon Barkley. Trubisky can just take the season off.
I think you said it out of order. It's Saquon, Cohen, Howard.
Cohen's my boy. That man can throw it.
Saquon,
he can run it.
Saquon
he can
Barkley,
catch it.
Saquon Barkley taking that starting job from Jordan Howard.
You know what Nick Foles and Cohen have in common?
They both have caught a pass.
And they both have caught and thrown touchdown passes.
In the same game?
Well, no, not in the same game. The Bears weren't in the Super Bowl.
No. I mean like the same game that they did both. Like he threw it and then caught it. in the same game like Nick Foles did.
That's right.
He threw one and caught one in the same game. But this is where you guys come in. Let us know what. Yeah, I know that Cohen wasn't in the Super Bowl, Mark.
I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with you nowadays.
Let us know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Who should the Bears take at 8? Who would you love to see them take at number 8? Also, if you're listening to this, either full thing on YouTube, you're listening on podcast services around the world, thank you guys for giving us time, your time today. Housekeeping here at the end. Check out patreon.com. That's where you support us. Make sure we can do cool and better things for you guys each and every week. Make sure to check out our store in the description. That's where you can get your MVP t-shirt. MostValuablePodcast.com. That's where you're going to catch everything for MVP each and every day. Last but not least, if you're on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give the Onside Kick a 5-star rating. It would mean the world to us. Want to thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Want to thank you guys for listening to us on podcast services around the world. And as always, have a good day, everybody.